Howdy, folks. Happy New Year. Well, I know it sounds a little strange saying that in the middle of January, but I got a lot of catching up to do. So, cheers. Happy New Year. I kind of let you down this last month. Basically, I haven't put out a video since December 10th. And, I apologize for that. Just a lot of change going on in my life. And as you can see, I got a new background here. I'm in a new place and I'm loving it. And I think I'm finally set up and all ready to give you a couple more holiday movie reviews. I know these were supposed to come out in December, but it's January. I'm going to put it on the Christmas list for 2023 anyway. And here we go. Holiday Leftovers. Now, first up is a movie that I'm actually really late in reviewing. This is A Christmas Story 2. You may be familiar with the Netflix sequel to A Christmas Story, starring Ralphie himself. That came out in 2022, I believe. And I actually watched this one in 2022, and I was planning on reviewing it for Christmas 2022. But things happen. I ran out of time that year, just like I did this year. But I don't really want to go back and watch this again to do a review for it. I don't want to save it until 2024 Christmas. So here we go. A Christmas Story 2 takes place about 5 years after the original Christmas Story. Features Ralphie, of course, recast with a new actor. And actually, as a matter of fact, the entire cast is all new folks, and they're not that good. Sorry. I mean, even you get Daniel Stern in here. Daniel Stern is an actor who I've enjoyed his performances in most of the movies I've seen him in. He's a funny guy. But he plays the dad, Ralphie's dad in this. And, he's just so cheesy in this movie. I guess he's not bad, but it's really tough to take him seriously in this. This isn't the heartwarming, kind of nostalgic kind of movie that the first one actually is. Basically, it goes into the territory of a teen comedy at some points because, Ralphie's he's 16 and he wants to get a car and he's, thinking about girls and stuff, and him and his teenage friends, they have to go out and get jobs for the holidays, and it's all the teen hijinks there. Ralphie's dad wants to catch a fish for Christmas, do some ice fishing, and doesn't want to pay the crazy amount that they want for turkey and all that stuff, and he decides fishing, that's the way to go, and he wants to catch a fish for Christmas. Stupid. And Ralphie wants to get a car, so they go and they look at a car, and while he's about to take it for a test drive, he actually wrecks the car, and he ends up owing money to pay back, to the dealership for the car. And so hence he has to go out with his friends and get a job and pay back the money for the car. And then at the end, his dad buys him the car anyway, and he just out of nowhere gets a girlfriend to drive around in the car, and happy ending, right? But it's not really a very happy movie to sit through. In that it's just the jokes are so tired and so old. Well, not old, but they're just kind of lame. I mean, it's a safe movie for families and stuff like that, but it doesn't come anywhere near the quality of the original. I mean, even the sets and the costumes got a kind of a cheap look to it. Even the cinematography looks kind of flat. It doesn't look cinematic to me. There's a new narrator, of course, too. The original being narrated by the original author of A Christmas Story. This one has nothing to do with that author's story or vision or anything. I mean, the guy passed away before this was even thought of, which I guess I should mention this was made in 2012. No, this is an all-new original story, The Adventures of Ralphie and His Family. I found it a little bit of a chore to sit through. It's not nearly as bad as Christmas Vacation 2. That's, I don't want to talk about that. But yeah, I didn't really enjoy this very much. It was pretty darn boring to get through. and very disappointing as well. So I'm going to go ahead and give A Christmas Story 2 a D+. It's a little bit low, but so's the comedy. And next up on our Christmas extravaganza is perhaps the most epic of all the movies that I've got here today, Santa Claus, the movie. No, I'm not talking about the Santa Claus. I'm talking about Santa Claus, the movie. As in, like, Superman, the movie. Now, the reason I mentioned Superman is because this is actually made by the producers of the original Superman movies. Well, original being like from late 70s, early 80s. It's made by Alexander and Ilya Salkind, who are, the producers of the first couple of Superman movies. And you can really tell in here because, first of all, this is like an origin story for Santa Claus, which, of course, we've seen a bunch of origin stories for Santa Claus. The Santa Claus is coming to town, the life and adventures of Santa Claus, the weird one. But this one is, it's a bit of a musical, has really good production value on this, and you can actually really tell that this is made by the same people who made Superman, because, like, the scenes where Santa Claus is, like, flying in his sleigh with his reindeer, I swear to God, you would expect Superman to just zip in right past him, and it's like the same kind of music going on, and almost the same shots of like Santa Claus flying over New York City and stuff. And anyway, so it's like an origin story. We get to see Santa Claus and his wife. Well, actually, rather, his name is just Claus. He's like a poor toy maker in this like remote northern village, and he's delivering toys in his village, or in this area, this small rural area, to all the kids on Christmas Eve. It's just something he just does. And Claus and his wife, they're caught in a snowstorm in a blizzard, and basically they get lost in the blizzard, and they end up at the North Pole. Yeah, and they run into a bunch of magical elves who already have this like established kingdom in the North Pole, and they have a toy workshop, and they have the whole Christmas thing going on. All they need to do is they need a guy to deliver the toys to all the children of the world. This guy that just happened to show up freezing to death at their doorstep happens to be the chosen one. And it was foretold, it was his destiny that he was going to become immortal, live forever, and bring joy to all the children of the world. And I guess like this whole origin stuff takes about 40 minutes to get through it, but it's okay. I mean, it's bright and it's colorful, and it shows you the North Pole and the workshop and all that stuff and all the elves. And one of the main elves is Dudley Moore. Dudley Moore, Arthur, right? Dudley Moore, a little short guy, English guy, frequently appeared drunk on screen, or acting drunk, I guess, at least in Arthur. In Arthur 2. He's pretty good in here. He's like the lead elf, but he kind of strays away from the pack like later on in the movie, and he goes his own way because he has some kind of a malfunction with his like toy making machine up in the North Pole. So he decides, okay, well, I'm going to go out on my own, and I'm going to go out and prove myself to Santa Claus and get back in his good graces and be part of the whole Christmas thing again. His elf name is Patch, by the way. What he does is he goes down to New York City and he hooks up with evil toy maker played by John Lithgow, by far the best actor in this movie. Not that anybody else is bad, but John Lithgow just gives this amazing performance. He's like, just a ruthless businessman, and also just like he's trying to sell toys that are like actually full of broken glass and nails and all this shit, and he's in court, and this is about 45 minutes into the movie we're introduced to him, but he's in this like court case, and they're showing these dangerous toys that they're trying to sell to kids all over the world, and meanwhile he's making tons of profit and all this money and trying to defend himself in court, but these toys that they're making, it's like, this is ridiculous, like preposterous. Like he's trying to basically murder children. So he's evil, and he's the main antagonist here, and Patch makes a deal with him, a deal with the devil, if you will. So John Lithgow wants to have Christmas 2. Christmas 2 being like another excuse to sell stuff, sell toys, and sell all these magical inventions that Patch is making. Yeah, so Santa Claus has to, first of all, he has to help out some like orphan kids, and he also has to rescue Patch and set him back on his ways, and get him out of the clutches of this evil toy maker. And there's a little chase scene at the end, and there's some stuff to do with candy, magical candy that makes you fly and stuff. And at the end, Patch is driving around with a bunch of explosive candy in the back of his like sky sled or whatever. It's unstable and it explodes, and Santa Claus has to do a loop-de-loop to rescue Patch. And meanwhile, John Lithgow gets sent out into outer space because he overdoses on this like flying candy or whatever. And it's really silly, but it came out in 1985. I don't think this was as successful as they were hoping it was going to be. But I think it is a good movie. It has that epic feel to it. It has that Christmassy Santa Claus feel to it. Everything you'd ever want in a Santa Claus movie is in this movie. Also, one notable thing about this movie is that the actor that plays Santa Claus is the Big Lebowski. That's right, the grumpy guy in the wheelchair. David Huddleston. Not the dude. The Big Lebowski. I never saw this back in the day, but seeing it now, I can see I probably would have enjoyed it if I was at the appropriate age level at the time. And I did kind of enjoy it now, so I'm going to go ahead and give Santa Claus the movie a B. Next up is a movie that I watched on actual Christmas Eve. This is Emmet Otter's Jug Band Christmas. This is from 1977, made by the Jim Henson Company. If you're a Muppets fan, you're going to probably have seen this or have heard of it at least. I mean, I'd always heard of this since I was a kid, but I'd never seen the whole thing all the way through. It's kind of a musical, and it's got some, I guess, kind of country-ish sounding holiday songs. I don't know. But it's pretty good. The music is quality. The puppet work is, Jim Henson Company. It's fantastic. I mean, it doesn't look completely real, but it looks as good as the Muppets ever did. There's a lot of detail and a lot of skill went into the crafting of the backgrounds, the sets, and the puppets themselves. And I think all the Muppet performers did really well in here, as musically and dramatically. And it is a little dramatic. It's about a poor otter and his mother that they live out in the country and they want to win the talent show and become the jug band and win enough money to make it through the next year. And Emmet and his mother, they're looking out for each other. It's kind of sad and depressing in some points, but it ends up being pretty uplifting and heartwarming in the end. I did enjoy Emmet Otter's Jug Band Christmas. I don't really have much to tell you about it. I mean, it's not even very long. But yeah, I missed this one back in the day, and I'm kind of glad I saw it this last Christmas. I think I'd have to give Emmet Otter's Jug Band Christmas like a B+. Yeah, it was that good. It was Muppet level quality. Let's just say that. And the Muppets and Christmas. Okay, now here's the big one. On my 50 sci-fi classics movie collection, DVD collection here, I found Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. Now, you've probably heard of this being one of those so bad it's good movies, because you know that I love those, and I'm surprised I hadn't seen it until now. It's every bit as crazy and ridiculous and hilarious as every other YouTube reviewer has mentioned. I don't really have too much to add to anything those people are saying, but I guess I should just let you know that it's from 1964, and it's made for children. So out there on Mars, there is, of course, Martians and Martian children. And they live a very sci-fi lifestyle. They take pills instead of eating food, and they have telepathic brainwave helmets or something, or space rays and rocket ships and that kind of thing. But the leader of Mars finds that his children are obsessed with watching Earth television, especially stuff to do with Santa Claus and Christmas and that kind of thing, and he's not really sure what to do. So he gathers up the Martian High Council, and they go and they go speak to this dead ancestor guy He's like, I don't know, I think, or he's like immortal or something. He's like some super old dude. Probably the best actor in the whole thing, because he just goes right overboard on this. That guy says that, well, what you need to get your own Santa Claus. The Martians are too serious, and we need to, let children have fun and enjoy themselves, and it's the only way to turn things around on Mars. So they're like, okay, thanks, Mr. Space Ghost. We're going to go to Earth, and we're going to steal their Santa Claus. Why not, right? It's better than making our own. So they go to Earth, and they basically kidnap Santa Claus and a couple of Earth kids as well, and they bring them back to Mars, and they're trying to run, the toy delivery operation on Mars, and Santa Claus, really doesn't do anything for this entire movie. It's called Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. It's more like the Martians kidnap Santa Claus, and he doesn't really do anything to escape. It's actually the kids that free Santa Claus and stuff, and they have this plan, and it involves making crazy toys and a room full of bubbles. And anyway, there's a bad guy, one of the Martians is a jerk, and there's another one that's really stupid that he's the comic relief, and he's so annoying, and his name is Droppo the Martian, who eventually becomes the Martian Santa Claus at the end. And then Santa Claus is able to go back to Earth and resume his normal, regular, earthbound Christmas duties. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty fun to watch, just because it's so bad and it's so stupid. There's stock footage in there of a Apollo program and all that stuff. I mean, this is 1964. We hadn't even gone to the moon yet, and we're playing out the story to do with Santa Claus, and they're showing launching rockets and stuff. And more than any movie that I'm talking about today, this is a real time capsule here. But I highly recommend that next Christmas, or any Christmas, or any time, to watch Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. Because of its sheer entertainment value, I'm going to give it a B. In terms of quality of the movie, it's pretty down there, but the overall entertainment value, yeah, B. Okay, and the last one that I have to do today is actually a little bit timely, because this is Rudolph's Shiny New Year. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, right? The Rankin Bass Animagic special. This is kind of a direct sequel to that. I mean, I know on my channel before I've done other sequels to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Rudolph and the Island of Misfit Toys, which came out in 1999 or 2000, something like that. I don't really consider that one of the Rudolph sequels, because it's a CGI sort of thing, and it's terrible. And then, of course, there was Rudolph and Frosty's Christmas in July, which, even though I did review that one for Christmas, it actually took place in July, like I said, so I guess it's a Christmas movie. But this one really isn't a Christmas movie. I mean, it's got Santa Claus and Rudolph on the cover. Santa Claus has very little, if anything, to do with this movie. Basically, Father Time contacts Santa Claus and says, we've lost the baby New Year, and it's almost New Year's Eve. We need to find him. And Santa Claus is like, well, I know somebody that can find the baby New Year for you, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So, okay, I guess this takes place on Boxing Day or something, I don't know, or sometime right after Christmas anyway. So Rudolph has to set off to go meet with Father Time and get the gist of the story, and baby New Year is about to take over for the next year, and we have to find him because he's missing. And there's this evil vulture thing is after him. I don't know. It's all puppets, It's that animagic thing, the stop motion stuff that I love from Rankin Bass. Same quality as you'd find in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Well, a little bit better. But anyway, so Rudolph has to go to actually travel through different years and different times, and he goes to all these islands up around the North Pole that are each one is constantly stuck in one year. He goes to this one island, and it's 1 million years BC, and he meets a caveman and sings a song with the caveman, and then caveman comes with him, and then they go and they meet this knight guy that never takes his helmet off for the whole time. He's got a big beard hanging out, and, played by Frank Gorshin, of all people, the Riddler. Hey, anybody? And on this like medieval fairy tale island or whatever, they also meet like Baby Bear and the Three Bears and like Mother Goose and all these nursery rhyme characters and fairy tale characters and stuff. And then they meet Ben Franklin, because they go to the island of 1776 or some shit. And then Ben Franklin joins up with the crew, and then they all find a giant time whale who takes them to the location of the actual Baby New Year. And they rescue the Baby New Year from this giant vulture. Yeah, and then the New Year is saved, and they ring in the New Year. With seconds to spare, the Baby New Year takes over the reins from Father Time and becomes, well, I guess the new Father Time, right? Or however that works. I don't know. It's got its own like mythology and stuff about the New Year and the time, and there's a whole bunch of songs in here, and they're all quality, and the animation is really good, and made me feel like a kid again watching this, because I do remember when I was a kid, I did like this one quite a bit. This is actually from like 1975, so it's a good few years after the first Rudolph, but it's in there. It's one of them Rudolph sequels that Rankin Bass was just on fire in the 70s and just cranking up them holiday specials, and this is one of the better ones, I think. I'm going to go ahead and give Rudolph's Shiny New Year a B+. Okay, so I think I'm getting caught up here. My apologies for kind of a little bit of radio silence there. I took a month off, a well-deserved break, and I gotta say thank you very much for everybody that's watched and subscribed to my channel in the last little bit. Despite not putting out a video for over a month, I've gained a whole bunch of subscribers, and thank you very much, everybody, and thank you for the support and for the likes and the views and all that stuff. I'll keep you updated if there's any new developments in Andyland here. But I guess since this is like a holiday catch-up video, I gotta say happy holidays. If you're watching this like, say, Christmas 2024 or New Year's 2025 or whenever, have a good one, everybody.